Not unlike an attentive bird who spots a smidgen of sustenance in a pile of cattle dung, director George Gallo and co-scripter Josh Posner's new comedy retrieves a viable comic premise in the deservedly obscure and irredeemably wretched 1982 comedy, The Comeback Trail. Unfortunately, their hugely enjoyable remake, in name only, was stuck in distribution limbo for the better part of 5 years, despite a stellar cast that includes Oscar winners Robert De Niro, Tommy Lee Jones, and Morgan Freeman. At long last, the movie recently received an extremely limited U.S. theatrical run and is now available on digital platforms. Speaking as someone who viewed a screener of the new and improved Comeback Trail back in 2020 and has puzzled over why it remained more or less shelved ever since, I am happy to report after a second viewing that the indie production is every bit as funny as I remembered, even as I concede that it may be an acquired taste. Some people just don't have the patience for lead performances that are as broad as a Yellowstone barn and as hammy as a butcher shop specialty. I laughed unashamedly throughout the entire film. But your mileage may vary. The original Comeback Trail showcased, in want of a better term, the late, great Buster Crabbe as an aged Western star, hired by shady Z-movie producers to star in their new project. But the producers, irritatingly overplayed by Chuck McCann and Robert Statz, who regrettably seize the vast majority of screen time, aren't really hoping to make a killing. Rather, they hope to kill their star during production and claim a hefty insurance payment for his accidental death. Henny Youngman, Erwin Corey, Monty Rock, and no kidding, Hugh Hefner are among the notables cast in cameo roles, to no comic avail if you're at all curious about the crumminess of this fiasco written, produced, and directed by Harry Hurwitz, the projectionist. The shabby print is easily available on YouTube. But don't say you weren't warned. In the new Comeback Trail, set in 1974 Hollywood, De Niro plays Max Barber, a disreputable producer of schlock cinema who's driven by glaringly misplaced self-confidence, cranking out low-budgetos with such titles as Cows from Beyond and Bigfoot Was My Lover for his Miracle Pictures studio. Alas, the latest in his long line of flops, Killer Nuns, has just bombed at the box office. Reading from a typical review, Walter Creason, Zack Braff, Max's young nephew and business partner, quotes the merciless thumbs down. Truly, the best thing about this film is, after 90 minutes, it's over. Max, as implacably optimistic as Johnny Depp's Ed Wood, responds, "That is a good review. They liked the end." But mobster Reggie Fontaine Freeman, who's been bankrolling Max's dubious projects, is not at all amused. A die-hard movie buff, Fontaine is prone to peppering his threats with allusions to his favorite flicks. If Max can't repay his enormous debt soon, the mobster will stab him like Anthony Perkins in Psycho, thereby prompting a profanely funny comment from an underling, Eddie Griffin, about Norman Bates' love for his mother. Max actually has a way to avoid a grisly quietus. He could sell the script for Paradise, a long-cherished dream project he hopes will elevate him to legitimacy, to James Moore, Emile Hirsch, a former friend and ginormously more successful producer, for a cool $1 million. But Max stubbornly holds onto his property, mostly, but not entirely, because Moore wants to cast in the lead role an actor he detests, Frank Pierce, Patrick Muldoon, a preening superstar who insists on always doing his own stunts. When Pierce meets an untimely end while doing one of those stunts, Max has an inspiration. If Moore can collect on a multi-million insurance policy he had taken out on the actor, why can't Max do something similar by arranging a fatal accident for one of his own stars? That's where aging cowboy star Duke Montana, Jones, comes into the picture. Reduced to occasionally doing commercials for used cars and spending most of his days drinking, despairing, and sporadically playing Russian roulette in a retirement home for actors, the curmudgeonly Montana has a death wish that only sheer luck has kept him from fulfilling. Max, with the approval of Fontaine, intends to make his dreams come through in a new Miracle Pictures production, the oldest gun in the West. Trouble is, once the unsuspecting Duke is literally back in the saddle and on location, he proves to be remarkably resilient, surviving all of Max's attempts at sabotage, miscuing a stunt horse, tinkering with a rope bridge, etc., and regaining, if not a lust for life, a long-dormant joy for making movies. Max grows ever more anxious, Fontaine becomes increasingly impatient, and the unwitting Walter starts to suspect that something shady is going on.